Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the 2020 Online USA TKD Grand Slam Cadet Male Division. That's what we're going to be looking at today. I'm Barbara Brand out west, along with Miyako Yerick way out in the east. How you doing, Miyako?
Well, it's getting cold out here, Coach Brand. I decorated for the holidays. I see you did too. We are here ready to go. We hope you guys are ready for this Cadet Male prelim
Yeah,
round.
I'm super excited, and we're working on our kicks as we watch, working on that flexibility. So we got one going this way and one going that way. Woo. So let's get started.
All right, and off we go with the Male Cadet Black Belt preliminary round here. Here are the 6 judges. I'm continuing my poor counting today, apparently. We have 61 athletes in this division, Coach Brand.
Holy cow, 61. And up first is Andrew Lee from American Tigers Martial Arts in Florida. All the athletes in this division are going to be doing Taeguk 6 and Taeguk 5. So this is a really great episode for our young developing athletes, no matter what belt rank, from white belt up. This would be a really good group of athletes to watch. He started us off with some nice high front kicks. Looks like he's been working on his balance. He looked great. So that's Andrew Lee from Florida. We actually have 2 Andrew Lees in this division, right, Miyako?
Yeah, that's right. Andrew Lee, who just went, is from Florida. But we have another Andrew coming up about a third of the way through the division.
We haven't seen Taeguk Ojang in a while, right? We were here last time. We had completely different Poomsae. So it's nice to see Taeguk Ojang because there's a really cool part coming up here with the side kicks.
That's right, and it's side to side, so we can get a nice angle on the side kicks, really see the retraction or not. And that was pretty good. Andrew, Coach Brand, enjoys reading, traveling, roller coasters, and playing video games.
Roller coasters?
Roller coasters.
Roller coasters, wow. It's great. It's nice that he has that dangerous side. He had a 6.73 on the first one, now a 6.63, and I'd be surprised if that didn't happen for a lot of athletes, meaning the grade dropping down just a little bit, because Taeguk Ojang does have some difficulty, especially around those side kicks. In this form, it's 6 front kicks and 2 round kicks, so a little bit different difficulty level. This is Jackson Ruff from North Carolina. He trains at United Taekwondo Academy with Barry Partridge.
Yeah, Jung is such an interesting form. You know, everybody thinks about those round kicks, but there's only 2, and there are 6 front kicks. There's so many, really difficult going from a back stance up high into the front kick, coming back. So trying not to let the front kick swing, not over rotating and coming back and needing that stacked back stance there.
Right, we're going to have plenty of opportunity to really get specific. Miyako started us off with a few of the details there. Jackson gets a 6.03 on his first performance. But right, there's a lot of opportunity to see front kick in that Taeguk Jung. So if you have a good front kick, this is the Poomsae for you. In Taeguk Ojang, there's a lot of long stances, right? There are no walking stances in this, no short stances. It's either a front stance, a back stance, and a couple of little smaller stances to start off, the Orensogi and Wensogi. But athletes are really good at that extension.
Yeah, there's so many transitions because, like you mentioned, they're long stance, front stance to front stance. Those transitions become really important because they're long. You have to stay low. You want to keep that heel on the ground and pivot on the ball of your foot, not the heel. Don't let the heel pop up. So lots of things to look for in Ojang.
Right, and he gets a 6.17, so that's great. He got a higher score on the second one.
Nice.
And he finishes with a 6.1. So we really can't compare these to the scores that we saw in the first two episodes, right, Miyako? Because we have different referee groups.
Yeah, different referees. So we just have to judge these against the other guys in the division. So same set of those 5 referees. And then the first person you saw was the referee coordinator, I believe. So there are 5 scores. We drop the high and the low and then average those middle 3 to get the final score.
Performing now is Isaac Kim. He's from Texas, and he trains at Texas White Tiger Taekwondo under Master Songpei Kim.
So Isaac was really trying to push the rotation on those arm techniques. There are a lot of middle blocks, push blocks on 6. So you really have to have good upper body strength and then a good stop so you can stop that rotation of the arms without anything wiggling at the end. He did a pretty good job getting a 6.77.
Which is the highest score so far. So we've talked a lot about uniforms. He has a little bit closer fit on those pants, which allows us to see the length of his leg when he's kicking, whether or not the leg is bent or straight on the stance, just like that. So if you have good stances, it really shows it off. And he was able to show the extension on both of those first front stances.
Right, and showing a good differentiation of height there to fill trim versus shoulder as they're coming forward. They should be quite different, mid-head versus shoulder height.
Oh, nice reach on that side kick.
Yeah, I think his torso comes forward on both the side kicks and the round kicks in Jung. So his body coming forward just a little. He manages to hold onto it, isn't falling out too badly, but if he could just bring his body back into alignment.
And he gets a 6.97. That's a huge score so far. And finishes up with a 6.867.
준비.
This is Michael Bowles, and he trains in Illinois with the LTM club under Master Yuchan Lee. Well, he had a really good reach on his round kick. He just has to make sure that he remembers to look at the round kick and not toward the direction that he's going to go next. So we'll see if on this one, with his left round kick, if he looks straight forward or if he looks as if he's, really anticipating that turn. He did that again. If we could just clean that up, that I'm sure that's going to help his score. If we're looking in the correct direction, our score is really positively impacted. And if it's not, we get a 0.3 deduction every time we look in the wrong direction. So I'm interested in seeing, he still gets a nice high score. Those kicks were nice and high, and he had good power.
시작.
And Coach Brand Michael, really cool, interesting fact he does outside of Taekwondo is that he participates in 3D archery. I'm not sure what that is, but he says that they shoot archery locally and even travel to different states using 3D targets.
3D targets?
Yeah. And he has his name on his uniform, so he's just a really cool dude.
That is really cool. Wow, he's got some great flexibility.
Yeah, those side kicks went right up.
I'd like to learn more about that 3D archery.
차렷. 경례.
There's a good performance from Michael Bowles at a CLTM in Illinois. He gets a 6.2, a little bit lower than his first score. And he finishes up with a 6.383.
경례. 준비. 시작.
This is Philip Jung. He trains in New York with Team East, and his coach is Master Suji Kong.
And he has a really great outlook, very mature outlook on the pandemic. He said that because of, having to stay at home, it really limited his lifestyle, but that because of it, he took up coding because it was something he could do at home by himself.
Oh, that's wonderful. I don't think that would have ever occurred to me to take up coding, but good job to Philip Jung. So I think he has really a lot of really good fundamental skills. I notice on his front kick, he kicks fairly low, and I think that's because he's pushing his weight forward quite a bit, 6.67. And the more your weight is forward at the beginning of the kick, the less vertical you're going to get. So I think if he just stacked his weight, as we talk about, to stand straight up and vertical, he would be able to be more successful on those, getting those front kicks a little bit higher. His stances are nice and long.
Those first two looked great. Does have a little bit of settling in the stances where he's really pushing the length, but because it's so deep, I think he's having trouble moving to the next stance. And there's just a little bit of weight shift after he lands it before the next move.
Right. But if I was his coach, I would love it because he's starting from the ground up and he's really trying to explore how far he can step and still maintain his balance. So he gets a 6.37, and you're right. The transitions are a little bit rough when they're low like that. You really have to learn how to shift your weight before you can go. He finishes up with a 6.517. And this is Mason Liu. He trains at Happy Valley Martial Arts in Oregon under Minky Song.
I think pretty common here in this division, we might see a lot of heel pops on these long transitions that we mentioned earlier already. Good job stepping down in line after the round kick.
Right, with so many front kicks, we want to make sure that the foot is in the correct position. Because we have 6 chances to look good or 6 chances to get a minor deduction if that foot is kind of out of whack in the air.
Sure.
And Mason gets a 6.33. So I imagine we're going to be in this mid-6 range for a bit, or most of the time. Even though the judges were different for the first 2 episodes, I still think that in general, they're seeing this about the same way, where a lot of the athletes will be in that low to mid-6 range, and then we'll have some of the stronger athletes in the group, maybe getting those high 6s. We might get a couple of in the mid-7s. Do you think, Miyako?
Yeah, I think about a mid-7 for the higher ends of the division, which makes that cutoff to the semis somewhere in the low 7s is what we've seen in the previous 2 episodes. We didn't get up to the 8s yet in this Cadet Junior group, but I guess we had a couple that were a few tenths off. But that's always, we get so excited for those huge scores of an 8. But really, I think 6 shows you that you're doing a really solid form. A 7 means you're really getting competitive, and the 8 is kind of the world-class level.
Right. I think the first 2 episodes, the cutoff was right around 7.1.
Yeah.
We had as high as a 7.9 in one of the Poomsae on the first day. So here's our standings to start off in the preliminary cadet male division. We have Isaac Kim so far in first, followed by Andrew Lee, Philip Jung, Mason Liu, Michael Bull, and Jackson Ruff. Up next, we have Franco Colon from American Tigers Martial Arts in Florida, and he's coached by one of our 2020 U.S. national team members, Kathy Doe. Nice reach on that first round kick. Maybe a little bit longer on this front stance would fit his body a little bit better.
He has really nice alignment on his round kicks.
Yeah, real careful, solid. Just I would like to see him extend some of those stances and drop his hips down a little bit lower. So he starts off with a 6.2.
I just noticed that sign in the background has a figure of a guy doing a flying sidekick or some kind of turning, jumping sidekick, which is cool. I think a little bit more freeze at the end of some of these motions would help so that it doesn't blur together as he goes from move to move.
Right, he has some good ideas. He looks like he's trying to make it all work and at the same time stay very balanced. He seems to be very concerned and conscientious about his balance. So he's going at a pace that works for him. A lot of potential for Franco Colon, and he got a 6.2 for the first one and now 6.37. So he's going to finish with a 6.283. Boy, having these standings here after every athlete sure makes it nice rather than, when we're at tournaments sometimes and all the parents are taking pictures.
Right, everybody crowds around the TV screen to try and see what's going on.
So fun. This is Andrew Huang from California. He trains at Elite Taekwondo Center with Huang Yobei. So now everybody from the comfort of their couch can keep track. I'm sure everybody has a little spreadsheet just like we do. Calculator, making sure that whoever they're watching, family member, right in front of them on the screen is going to make that cut. So how many are we looking for, Miyako? We have a group of 61 today.
Right, so the semis, we take the top half, and when it's an odd number like this, you add one, so 62, and then half of that is 31. So we'll be looking for the top 31 scores.
So Andrew starts off with a 6.57.
Andrew has some really nice kicks. He's taking his time on them, but has good alignment and good foot positioning as well.
This is a really good angle to appreciate his front kicks from because he had very strong, straight, and centered technique on those. A little short on the front stances, and the back stances up front. We can see that really good because he's right up front toward the camera.
Fighting for both of those side kicks landed a little bit short on the front stances.
It is a fight, right, Miyako? It is a battle.
It is.
Yeah. He gets a 6.57 the first time. Side kicks are like that. They can be really great some days, the next day they're very cruel. Oh, another 6.57.
That's a pretty strong presentation there. That's a lot to improve on. Just got to bump up that accuracy a little bit more.
Yeah, he's in pretty good shape so far. He's got a 6.567. Here we have Adrian Sanchez from Florida. Again, another athlete from American Tigers Martial Arts, coached by Kathy Doe.
Ooh. That second round kick was a nice alignment. The first one, I feel like he cheated it a little bit and didn't quite rotate his hips over, but it was nice and high. So they might be distracted by that. And the rest of his form was nice and clean as well.
You said the second one was better?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It was really aligned.
Yeah, the second one was nice.
And he has 6.63.
And this is the cadets, so they're 12, 13, or 14 years old this year. And if you are watching, don't know that much about Poomsae, it's the year that you turn that age. So even if your birthday is December 31st, you compete as that age the whole year. So he looks like he might be on the younger side of this division. You know, we are going to see a bunch of different heights and body types as they go from 12 to 14. They can start getting those growth spurts and getting really tall. Adrian's throwing some side kicks. That left leg not quite as high as the right one, but good alignment and a nice solid finish.
Looks like he felt good about that run. And again, the athletes could have recorded this, you know, 1 time or 20 times or 2,000 times, depending on how much energy they had. He has 6.6, the second one. Yeah, we are really going to be all stacked up in these sixes, these mid sixes. He finishes with a 6.617. And if this is the first time you watch, just know that about every 6 or so athletes, you'll see the standings come up on the screen. This is Alejandro Correa from, again, American Tiger Martial Arts in Florida, coached by Kathy Doe.
Yeah, it's really great to see so many of Coach Kathy's athletes here in this Grand Slam. I don't think we got to see them at the Summer of Poomsae. So now they're coming in because they don't have any ranking points from past sanctioned tournaments. They're going to be going in this first group of unranked athletes. But like we saw, we already have a couple jumping up to 6'8", 6'6". So we're definitely going to see a range of scores here in this first group or so of athletes.
Right, so that's Alejandro Correa from Florida, and he's with American Tiger Martial Arts, and he gets a 6.33 for that first one. But even though they didn't have points coming into this event, they're going to have some when they leave, right, Miyako?
Yeah, one of the great things about these sanctioned tournaments is that everybody who competes gets points. It's not like only the medalists. So even by competing, and this is a 16.0 tournament, it is a major event. By competing in the prelims, you get some points. By competing in the semifinals, you get more points. And then the very first place finisher will get 160 points, and that's huge.
I'm noticing a similarity between all these athletes from the same club here, American Tigers. They're pretty careful, right? They're very cautious. They don't go over fast. They're trying to hit the finish points. So the next thing would be to try to demonstrate some contrast when they do that and to make sure they don't have those heels popping up when they go from side to side. So Alejandro got a 6.33 the first form, and for the second 6.3, so he finishes with the 6.317. This is Evan Fong from Elite Taekwondo Center in California, and he's coached by Master Kwangil Bay.
With some nice long legs, really reaching for those kicks. Let's see the second round kick here.
Oh, wow, yeah, really trying to get that nice length on that round kick. And these front kicks too. Nice long stances on the 2 back stance going to the rear. He had 2 more front stances going to the rear, maybe a little bit less wobble in that front leg to make it look like you have a very strong base. So 2 back stances look great. The front stance is a little bit of a wobble, and he's strong enough to make that happen. He gets a 7.13, which in this division is the first time we've seen a 7.
Right, and that's about 0.3 higher than the next highest score, 0.4 higher. So it's a nice big gap for him. Again, there are 61 athletes. We're taking the top 31 athletes. So getting a big jump up in the score here should help him as he wants to try and make that semis cut.
Right, and that semis cut yesterday, and again, it's not going to be the same because we have a different group of athletes and different group of judges. Wow, a nice side kick. The cutoff the last couple of days were around 7.1, so he got 7.13. Let's see if he can get an even higher score here to get him a little safety.
Yeah, and he had a nice tempo, a good rhythm to the form, a little bit faster than some of the other athletes, and maybe that's due to his hobby outside of Taekwondo, which is dancing.
Oh, I can see that. Wow, 7.43. That could put him in a really
Big score.
great for a long time. We'll see how it goes as this division unfolds. But 7.283 is a nice score to have at this point. Up next, we have Steven Lazarus from the same club in California, Elite Taekwondo Center, coached by Master Huang Bay.
A little bit high on those middle blocks, but geez, look at that round kick.
Oh yeah, he can really put it up there. He could probably stick it out there a little bit longer too if he wants to. His front kicks up close to the camera look really good.
Yeah, it's just the middle blocks after the front kick in the first bar, and then again at the top. Should be fist height at shoulder, and he has his wrist height at shoulder. So just a few inches too high, just drop that down. But a very solid score of 7.0. And Steven, outside of Taekwondo, likes to play chess. I know chess is really popular right now after the Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which I don't think is quite age appropriate for some of our cadet members, but I love that now it's making chess popular in the US, and apparently chess sets are sold out at a lot of online stores.
Oh wow, that's great. So hopefully these kids do play a lot of chess because they get that exercise, right? Exercise their strategy and their, whole game, step by step, just like we do with Poomsae, and especially like we do with sparring, for sure. So he received a 7 for the first form and now 7.13, so he's going to be in pretty good shape too, even though it's a slightly lower score than his teammate. It's a pretty good score here, 7.067. And here's the standings. In the Cadet Male preliminary round, we have Evan Fong in first place, followed by Stephen Lazarus, Isaac Kim, Andrew Lee, and the rest. Pretty soon this screen will turn into mini screens, right, Miyako?
Yeah, so we do 12 per screen, and with 61 athletes, there will be quite a few screens. And again, we'll show you those rankings every 6 athletes.
This is Julio Kim from Arizona Taekwondo. And he's coached by Master Arnold Chung. So I wonder how that works. He's in Arizona. Arnold Chung's in California, unless it's a different Arnold Chung.
Yeah, it could be a different Arnold Chung, but especially now with everybody taking Zoom classes anyway, it's easy to have one-on-one sessions or take classes from a coach in another state. My coach is in Boston. I live in Maryland, and that's how I take all of my classes is online through Zoom. And I feel more connected to my coaching team than I have in past years because I get so many classes now. So definitely possible.
Right, definitely possible. I think it's probably more common than 7.33 for Julio Kim. It's probably more common to get coached that way than the other way these days, for sure, at least out here in California, because we can't see each other. So we're all on Zoom and working with our athletes across the country. So 7.33, that's a really big score. So let's see how he does in the second one.
Yeah, and he did a really great job of locking out his stances, clicking them, and then freezing, trying to stay low. Pretty even height here moving through the stances, which is also nice. Not the highest side kicks, but a really great extension, retraction, like one of the more controlled side kicks we've seen so far in the division.
Shut up.
Right, and he knocked his belt way to the left somehow. That's a lot of power.
All that core power coming through.
Oh, look at that, 7.53. Is that the highest score so far? I think so.
It is. We are already jumping up here to the mid 7s.
That's fun. He gets a 7.433.
준비.
This is Ezekiel Gonzalez from Master Kim's Taekwondo Institute in New York.
시작.
He's coached by Master Suji Kong and Sung-Si Kim. Well, nice height off the front kick there on both sides.
Wow. Yeah.
He has nice fundamentals. Stance is looking good. The transitions are correct from side to side. Keeps his height as he goes from side to side. He doesn't do a lot of bouncing up and down.
And you know, this whole family does Taekwondo. His mom was interviewed in the Grand Slam for the senior and master divisions. Rachel Gonzalez did really great in her division. All of them compete. I think his siblings also do freestyle. So it's the whole family does Taekwondo. And I think they said they even settle disputes with Taekwondo sometimes.
What does that mean? Okay, 6.93 for Ezekiel Gonzalez.
Well, I think we mentioned we need more information on whether it's like a sparring match. Is it a Poomsae off? Is it a dance battle? I don't know, but I need more info.
Nice height on those front kicks.
Yeah, I think he has some of the best kicks we've seen so far. Really high and good alignment.
Well, little rough on the retraction, but he's really trying to go high.
바로.
Yeah, I really liked that. I think maybe
Idiot.
I would give this a lower 7, but higher than the first score.
I was actually surprised that the first score was a little bit on the low side. He gets 7.1 here.
So 7.1 on the second form gives him a combined score of
준비.
7.017.
Okay, this is Brandon Jung from Georgia. He trains at Kim's K Taekwondo under Master Sungjin Kim. See what I mean? Like when your weight is really forward, it's hard to get your kick up because you're almost like chasing the kick.
Yeah.
I think if he just stacks a little bit more, he'd be able to kick higher. And that's kind of what he was trying to do on that round kick. He was able to kick a little bit higher on that.
This is just such a hard combo because, again, your weight is so far back on that back stance.
Hello.
And you're twisted. You have to turn your body, get the front kick up, but don't over-rotate your hips so that you can pull it
Sure.
back into stacking the weight on the back stance. And I think sometimes they might just cheat it, try and throw the weight too far to get the height. Then they struggle to pull it back. But little things to work through that maybe not count because he gets a good score of 7.07. But it just kind of adds to the overall impression of the form, especially because you do that front kick 6 times in Yukjong. Taking a nice quick tempo here, coming forward. Elbows flaring out just a little bit on the front kicks.
Right. Athletes have done a really good job over the years of trying to conform to the standard for Taekwondo. At the beginning, 2006 to, 2009 or so, 2010, there were so many different looks of Taekwondo. Everybody from, just whipping those arms any way around, and especially that last step with that stomp and back fist, where people were hopping up, jumping really far. But now it's conforming to the standard a lot better. It gets a 6.97 for the second one and finishes with 7.017. Is that the same as the athlete right before him?
Yeah, I think that's a tie there, so we'll have to look at the presentation to see who takes it.
This is Amir Bahadur from Massachusetts. He trains at Premier Sport Taekwondo under Master Young Kim. Oh, nice round kick. Do you remember this site, Miyako?
I don't.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, he's got some nice front kicks.
And that first round kick, the extension wasn't that long, but there was a really nice line and a focused retraction. So that's a intentional, really bringing the knee in nice and tight.
And thank goodness. Otherwise, it looks kind of like a pendulum or a seesaw, something to that effect.
바로 샷 차렷 힘내.
So Amir did a really good job on that Poomsae. And now he's got a 6.8. It's a pretty good start. I think he really has to push it here on the second one to be safe.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more power in the arm techniques might help him compare to some of these other guys in the division have just really clicked in the power on the hands.
시작.
Of course, that's what's so hard about these video submission tournaments is that they have no idea what everybody else looks like. They have to just do their best form, do your best, record it, find something that you are happy with, and then go with that because you can't compare yourself to anybody else until you're watching it now live.
That's what I was thinking. You know, oftentimes as coaches, we have the opportunity between rounds to do a couple tweaks here and a couple tweaks there. And, you know, also strategize in, you know, multitude of different ways. But when you're doing it on your own, just back-to-back Poomsae till you find two that feel good, it loses a little bit of that same energy, and we have to replace it with the fact that, okay, we get to do two, whichever one we want to pick, we get to go for it. So we're going to just keep doing them until we feel like we've got that really beautiful pair to send in. So he finishes a 6.650. And this is Mahira Coley from Pennsylvania. He trains at Eagleville Taekwondo Academy under Master Lu Jiamo. I haven't seen Master Jiamo in a bit of time, but boy, back in the day when Poomsae first became a world championship level sport, he was there front and center, working with athletes, also competing himself at times. So it's good to see one of his athletes out here.
And I think it's his dojang where he has Korean students from Korean universities come and do like internships in the US and they work at the dojangs. And so his students get access to really great, Korean students who train in Poomsae.
That's really smart. So Mahir gets a 5.53. And now off to take a goal jump. Ooh, these stances look a little bit better, longer, cleaner. You like a lot of athletes that the front foot turns inward, oftentimes, usually at that step, right? Like right before a turn.
Right, like they're anticipating the transition and they almost start pivoting early.
Yeah, and it can become a real habit. So we have to make sure that we're checking for that. Sometimes a good idea to record ourselves and then watch playback, make sure we're not falling into that habit. And then again, transitioning on balls over the feet rather than letting that heel pop up on every turn.
Yeah, one of the fun things to practice is right there at the end of Taeguk 5 is once you hit that stomp, your feet shouldn't have to move at all and you can just untwist into your paro stance. Any kind of foot movement will be a deduction, but it's fun to kind of try that out and work on it until you figure it out.
He gets a 5.43 in the second form and finishes with a 5.483. This is Cameron Bolin. This is fun. So he's in a real tight space. He's got 4 mats there, which seem to be a little bit smaller than a regular, competition mat, right? Oh, so fun. So close to the walls. So Cameron, I don't want to take my eyes off him, but I have to look at my notes here. He trains in Texas under Master Lee's world champion Taekwondo under coach Hyun Lee.
And he took a bit of a diagonal step there, I think, to try and make some space, but that made that one front stance really wide. Oh, and then stepped forward at the ending instead of backwards. So we are going to take some accuracy hits here, but I just love this space. I think it's great training.
You got to do what you got to do in your space. And so he was trying to make it work, 5.03. And then what happens is, you watch it on an airing like this, and you go back and go, okay, next time I'm going to add to my mat, or next time I'm going to go in a different direction, or maybe a different room. I'm wondering how he's not going to go off this mat as he comes forward with that last step.
He might go off, but I think that's okay. Oh, look at that.
Oh, he did, and he saved it.
But the side kick bar is going to be right on the edge of this room. He's going to have to kick straight up.
Yeah, if he can do that, no problem.
Right here.
Front stance. Whoa, look, he's up on the mat. That's awesome. He shortened a few things to get there, but he made that mat work.
Fong.
Good job.
Very, very good job.
At 5.03, and he gets at 5.37. We saw quite a few adults do that, right? Like Amir Bahadur in his basement. And,
Krishna in his basement around the pole and the ping pong tables.
That's right. That was an awesome space. Oh, here's the standings in the Cadet Male preliminary round. We have Julio Kim now in first, followed by Evan Huang, who was in first just the last time we checked these standings. He's followed by Stephen Lazuardi, Ezekiel Gonzalez, Brandon Jung, and Isaac Kim. And again, we're looking for the top 31 athletes to go on to the semifinal round.
We've seen 18 so far, so just a couple more, and then we'll be about a third of the way through this division. Again, massive division with 61 athletes.
This is Justin Rim out of Oregon. He trains with world champion Taekwondo West Lin with Master Haesung Lee. Hey, have we seen this venue before, this club before?
No, I was going to say, this one looks new too. It's so bright, and all the colors kind of match, very patriotic colors. And Justin's doing a really great job opening up clean, high kicks. Let's check out the second round kick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. I like his focus level and his expression. Looks very calm and very intent at the same time.
Show. Jung.
Oh, Justin gets a good score, 6.97. Hopefully he can just get a little bit higher on the second one. Make sure he's safe going into the semifinal round.
That's true, but we are getting a bigger range of scores here today in this cadet division, the prelim. So, it might be a slightly lower. It could be a 6.9. We just don't know yet. It really depends on how the rest of the division plays out. But coming forward nice and strong. Those front kicks were really nice. Elbows are flaring out just a little bit. So if he keeps those elbows tucked in, he can continue to work, get that side kick height up to match his front kicks. That would really help his presentation, I think.
I like to see him get a little bit more grounded, and it's hard to do on this kind of mat because it has a little bit of give, right? So great mat for sparring, and it is a great mat for training and for Poomsae too. It's just a matter of making sure that you're grounded. And if you could do it there, if you can learn how to be grounded there at home, then when you go to a regular tournament next opportunity, then you're going to feel super grounded on a competition mat. So he finishes up with a 6.867. We have quite a few athletes on tatami mats. We saw some at the beginning from American Tigers Martial Arts, and we'll see a few more. They just have to dig in a little bit lower.
Right, and that's as compared to these puzzle mats, which we're seeing right now, which are more foam and just pieced together.
Right, and in the olden days, we used to train on hardwood floor, so these mats here also seem very soft and difficult to get a hold of at the very beginning. We feel like we were sinking into them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I coach at American University, and we train on carpet over, concrete. And every single year we start, I get blisters on my feet. So I would love some mats of any kind there for training purposes.
So this is Mattias Baszler from Connecticut, at a world champion Taekwondo Fairfield, and he trains with Master Gunsu Kim and Kwon Jin Ha.
He did a really nice job opening up with that Jung. I feel like he felt really confident with it. Yeah, and look at that 7.03.
Really good score. Very consistent scores he's getting across the board.
시작!
And he looks a little bit shorter, maybe one of the younger athletes, but he is getting pretty good volume on his arm techniques for the most part.
I like to see him lock in that back leg a little bit more. It's a little bit of a bend in that front stance, so that'll make him look a little bit more sharp.
And this is another common thing I see a lot of younger athletes when they have that side kick with the arm going out with it. They kick higher than they realize, and their fist almost touches their leg. The arm and the leg should be parallel, so you have to punch higher. Just punch the ceiling, and then your leg and arm will match and be parallel.
And he is 7.0 for the second one. And he finishes with a 7.017. Some of us have the opposite problem, where our arm goes really high, but the kick doesn't really go to that same spot. This is Aiden Chu. And Aiden is from JK Taekwondo Academy in Texas. And he's coached by Master Jung Kim.
He has an interesting habit of pulling his hands into his chest before he starts the kick. So it almost becomes like an extra motion. So I think and that's really kind of the only big thing that I'm seeing. So kind of pull the hands into your chest as you're going into the kick, so that it doesn't break it up too much.
So let's see, he scores 6.67. Yeah, he almost looks up before he starts his kick. So just needs to blend that a little bit more and then stand up nice and tall on those kicks so that support leg is nice and straight.
시작!
Oh yeah, I see the bend in the base leg on the kicks. Couple double pivots. But a fun fact about Aiden is that he likes to play the cello, and he also golfs. And he says his favorite food is sushi.
Oh, nice. I'm impressed that he can play the cello. Wow, that left side kick was nice and high.
The cello must be as big as he is.
바로.
Yeah.
I started playing the cello in middle school, and I would wear it like a backpack, and it was literally as tall as I was. So I'm sure it must be the same for Aiden.
And he gets a 6.57. Was that in your ukulele days?
That's like the opposite of a cello. No, I played the cello at school. The ukulele was just for fun at my hula school.
And he finished it up with 6.617. This is Jonas Garman, and he trains in North Carolina at Pure Taekwondo Center with Bernard Posey.
Ooh.
Wow, really pushing up there right off the floor. Wow.
I was going to say, this is a dojang we recognize.
Don't remember these kicks coming out like that, though.
Yeah, wow. And there's so many. We're so lucky. There's the 6 front kicks, the 2 round kicks. Here we go. Wow. Jeez.
Trying to go vertical. Wow.
It's a little tense. Like the hand motions, there's some shoulder shrugging,
Pro.
but the kicks are just so powerful and they pop. I like it.
He's got so
Yeah.
much going on in his head.
Yeah.
He's just like gonna kick on. His foot's gonna, I don't know. It's gonna all of a sudden have fire coming out of it. He's got so much going into it. So I could see why he would look a little tense because there's another kick coming. He's got to get ready for it. Those are some nice high technique.
Yeah, so he got I think it was a 3.7 on his presentation. So those kicks are definitely helping him. Once he gets that accuracy up above a 3, that score will jump up nice to the 7s. So I think just cleaning up a couple of things here on the hands and the shoulders.
Yeah, he's got a lot of extra body movement that needs to take out. Some athletes think that might look like it gives him more power, but actually less movement does. Ooh, look at that. This guy's got tons of potential. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think just cleaning up a couple of those heel pops on the transitions, the shoulders calming down, but his kicks, man, are just great. Definitely the highlight for me.
You know, like that last bout, he's like, I am tired, guys. That was a lot of high kicking. 6.57 is that second Poomsae score. He had a 6.6 for the first one, but there's a lot going on with Jung that can be accuracy issues. 6.583 to finish up.
준비.
This is Ravi Tantali,
시작.
and he's from Connecticut, from World Champion Taekwondo in Fairfield, coached by Hyun Nam and Gunsu Kim.
He's moving through this form pretty comfortably, but I would like just a little more hand power and kind of differentiation in speed. It's all kind of one similar speed as he goes through.
Yeah, he's placing the hands. Like he's learned where the hands end up, so he's placing them there. Then as he gets more used to the Poomsae with a little bit more coaching, especially there, they have a really good coaching staff.
Yeah.
He'll be able to learn more about contrast, a little bit more about flow. So Rami gets a 6.6 his first Poomsae.
But pretty consistent scores across all of the judges. So they're all pretty much agreeing. It's pretty clean form. He is doing all the things basically correctly. We just have to start making it unique to him and show some bright points of power or kicks or whatever is special to his form. And that's one fun thing about training, you know, with we're seeing so many teammates from the same schools, the same dojongs, that you can watch your teammates and say, oh, well, he's really good at, you know, kicking, and this other teammate of mine has really nice hand techniques. And then ask him, like, hey, how do you get those front kicks like that? Do you stretch? Do you do, you know, resistance bands? What is it? And you can pick up lots of tricks from your teammates as well as watching everybody else here in the Grand Slam.
Right, watching this Grand Slam with 61 athletes in this preliminary round. Boy, I mean, these athletes are so lucky. This is something that has never been at our fingertips before. So it's really not only very instructive, but very fun to look through all the different styles. And especially like you were saying, well, you know, hey, I can learn from this person, but also thinking about body type. Like he has a really tall body type here, right? This is Jordan Ortiz Sanchez from Oregon. He trains at U.S. World Class Taekwondo under Sam Leiter. So another athlete who's tall might say, well, let me take a look at his technique. Let's see how he does it with these long legs and these long arms. How does he make it look beautiful? And then they learn from him. They go ahead and click through the division and find another tall athlete and see how they do it.
And then what's so great too is that then they can watch the next division that they're going to go into. So if these are the cadets, they can watch the junior male division, which is going to be tomorrow, and see, you know, how should I be looking? Who's doing well when I'm going to age up? but a 6.87 for Jordan's first form.
Right. We don't have nearly the
Joe?
same amount of juniors as we have cadets, right? I think we only have, 47 to pick from. So
Yeah.
not quite the huge library, but still pretty grand. Pretty good amount of athletes to be able to watch and learn from.
And Jordan here is 14 years old. He's been doing Taekwondo since he was 5. So almost 2/3 of his life, far more than half of his life, he's been doing Taekwondo.
Great. He has got pretty good aligned side kicks. So he didn't go super high, but he went for correct. So we have to all admire that when you're trying to really
Yeah.
make it a nice clean
Correct.
kick rather than just a swinging high kick. Ooh, so nice reward. He gets a 7.03 for the second Poomsae. And he finishes with a 6.95, which might be a great score. Here are the standings. Julio Kim still in first, followed by Evan Huang, Stephen Oswardi, Ezekiel Gonzalez, Brandon Jung, and Mattias Baszler. And then we'll keep rolling through new screens as we need them in the division.
Yeah, we're up to the first 24 athletes, so we'll get 2 full screens here of scores. So here we go, 13 through 24. And again, 61 athletes in the division, looking for the top 31 scores to move on.
The good news is everybody's made the cut so far. This is Apollo Tan, cool name, from Texas. He's with Texas White Tiger Taekwondo and is coached by Song Tae Kim.
Apollo got his black belt just last summer in 2019, so just over a year ago. So he's a fairly new black belt, having to learn a bunch of new forms, but luckily for him here in the prelims, it's Taeguk Yukjung and Taeguk Ojung, which he already knows. So hopefully he feels pretty comfortable with these forms.
Right, if it was Kumgong and Choreo, forms he's less familiar with, it might have been more challenging for him, but he looked pretty comfortable and easy there, so he gets a 7.1.
Well, he also does musical theater, so maybe he's just very comfortable being on stage, being in the spotlight, and this is like no big deal for him.
Yeah, so many musicians in this division.
Stop.
But it's musical theater, Coach Brand.
Oh,
Like singing and acting on stage.
well, he might be in the orchestra as well.
That's fair. That's fair.
He's got pretty good rhythm working through this form. Wow, you see that?
Yeah.
Everybody see that?
Go back and pause it. Take a screenshot. That's a great picture.
바로.
Well, maybe yeah. So that's Apollo Tan from Texas White Tiger Taekwondo. He got a 7.1 the first form and a 7.07 for this one. So it's a pretty good safe spot to be in for right now. It's a 7.083. This is Nolan Poe from California. He trains at Victory Taekwondo under his coach, Bobby. Oh, this is a nice little place. Hey, wait a minute. We've been in this room many times.
That's right. Both throughout the Summer Poomsae and now in the Grand Slam.
Right. This room is getting rented out for Poomsae athletes. We've seen that dietary board in the background. And right. This room is just big enough.
Right, and we have seen one of the men in the Masters divisions do his Poomsae, so he still fits.
차렷. 퇴장.
And he gets a 6.57.
준비. 시작.
A little small on that Oden win, Sogi. Looks like he's trying to be safe here too. Trying to shorten up the stances a little bit.
Yeah, this isn't a very wide room, but I do think he could afford to do just a couple of inches longer.
Yeah, a little more, but maybe he's like just anticipating that the
Yeah.
entire time. Like, how's he going to be that psychic? That's really challenging. He's doing a good job of trying to use that space well. And end up on his marks. He actually has like a little red box there. A lot of athletes don't do that. They make it all blue or one color, but for him, he says, yeah, look, I'm accurate. I'm going to put the red box out. I'm going to show that part. So he got a 6.57 for the first form and 6.33 for the second. I think that space was a little factor for him in that one.
And I think next time, if he just starts over to his left or right a little bit, he had more room on that other side.
Right. We always think we have to start in the middle, but we don't, in this kind of situation. This is Andrew Lee, or sorry. Yeah, this is Andrew Lee from California. He's at Sky Martial Arts. And he's here at his coach's Huang and Long Win's place, and his master is Master Jung.
And Andrew has had some early success here. He's 14, so obviously in the cadet division. He has tested and earned his 3rd degree black belt, and he just started freestyle a year ago, and he already made the national team for the under 17 freestyle team.
Wow, that's fantastic. So again, that's Andrew Lee out of Sky Martial Arts Academy. He gets a 6.87 for his table 6.
And I appreciate the freestyle athletes who also compete in traditional or the recognized Poomsae, because these good groundings, the fundamentals are really important in the freestyle. It's not just the flips and tricks and creativity to the music, but making sure that your motions in between the tricks are true Poomsae done well. He also enjoys playing the trumpet and is learning French. Do you speak any French, Coach Brand?
Let me see. So Andrew gets a 7.13. Wow, that is a really nice bump for him.
It is a nice jump.
That could be very important here, as we're, thinking about this cut. He gets his 7.00. This is Alvin Chang from California. He trains with Just Taekwondo with his coach, Master Justin Wang.
And we must have seen his sister maybe in the same space in the female divisions, just over the last couple days.
I think I remember him competing in the Summer of Poomsae, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice round kick.
Yeah.
Follow.
Hand technique's a little disjointed there on the last bar. So when you have 2 hand motions for one stance, you usually want to connect those hand techniques just a little bit more. So the push block right into the punch as opposed to 2 separate motions. But that second round kick was just really nice and high and in alignment.
So he gets a 6.93 for his first Poomsae. Scores are starting to climb up ever so slowly in this division.
Yeah, and we are almost at the halfway mark or so. Halfway again, 31 scores.
Little rise and fall on each of the steps. He just needs to stay level. Well, a little misstep there, so overshot the mark and then actually finished across his body on the stance. So I'm interested to see what the score is going to be.
Hello.
That can happen. Sometimes you have a great side kick and then the recovery is just very challenging. So we'll see how Albin does. He got a 6.93 for the first Poomsae and then a 6.63. So that balance issue might have been a little bit of a factor there on that score.
It's hard, you know, that's a second form. You recorded it, everything else went so well. Sometimes you just take it.
Right. So here's the environment you were talking about.
Yes.
This is Ryan Sitaram. We saw both he and his father competing in this space. He's with High Kicks Taekwondo in Virginia. He's coached by Brian Joe. Wow, nice reach there. Wow. Really
His legs are so long.
So we'll see where he starts off, Jung, in a minute, right?
Right.
Look at this kick. Boom.
Oh, man. It's like kicking the ceiling.
Especially from this perspective, it almost looks like he's kicking that piece hanging down.
Yeah. So it looks like maybe these are 3 mats wide. So I wonder if he stays on the mats for Jung in that side kick bar especially. We'll have to see next form.
7.4. Huge score. Good job to Ryan so far. Let's see how the second one goes, especially in this space. He's doing what you suggested. Was start a little bit to the left so you have that space.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I made a big enough deal. That was a 7.4 in that first form. That was a big score.
It was a big score. See how they have this kind of all measured out?
It's, starting over really makes a difference. So he fits here.
There was really only one stance that looked to me a little bit short on the left side. Maybe make that 2, but he did a really good job there.
Yeah, I'm impressed he fit that in, basically doing it all correctly in a big score here of 7.3.
So that needs some of the 7.35. We only have, does that put him in the second place, Miyako?
I think it does. Yeah.
This is Anderson Nix. I remember him from Arizona Taekwondo, World Taekwondo Center, coached by Masters Ruben Lawley and Megan Yee. Wow, his pace is a little bit on the quicker side in the division. Got good reach on his round kicks. This Poomsae almost seemed to get stronger as he went. He got more and more grounded from step to step as he moved through the Poomsae. So again, that's Anderson Nix with a great score of 7.2.
And we've seen some other of his teammates from the Arizona Pride team. So again, I think it really helps watching your teammates, giving feedback to each other, especially if you're going to record your forms and you're trying to pick out the best one. Get some feedback from your teammates and see, hey, which one out of these 2 would you submit?
Well, when he allows himself to finish, then he gets really locked in. Sometimes he's close to it, not quite there, and then he moves to the next step. Just maybe a little bit longer so he can completely finish before moving on.
Yeah, he does seem to have long legs, so when he really sinks into those stances, it looks nice.
Yeah, so when you see the full extended part of that, it looks so fantastic. We want to see it every time. So that's Anderson Nix with Arizona Pride. He got a 7.2, followed by the 7.0. And good position here at the 7.1. So here's our standings one more time. So we'll see a few screens go by. And right now it's hard to tell who's going to make the cut because we're just hitting the halfway point now, right?
Yep, that was 30 athletes exactly. So that's about halfway. We're going to again take the top 31 scores. And so when you're looking at these scores, the red square with your white is your combined score. The score to the left column in the white in about threes is the presentation score. So if there is a tie, like there are on some of these, the presentation score determines who takes the higher spot in the tie. There's a nice range there. So now that we're halfway through, we'll be able to get a better idea of what that cutoff point is going to be.
This is Isaiah Morales Hill from Nevada. He trains with Spirit Taekwondo under Yasmin Brown.
Nice alignment on that first round kick and high. I think if he drove his knee a little bit higher on the front kicks, it might help him get more height.
Right, he's just kicking a little too soon. So a little bit higher, longer retraction, and then let it extend. Looks like he certainly has the strength to do it. Probably just has to work with the timing a little bit.
Pearl.
Good stack of the weight on the back stances. Just a little bit of kind of body not quite finishing at the same time, going backwards. That's a hard last bar to finish on because you can't see where you're going. You're going backwards. The knees can sometimes cave in and out. But a 6.9 for Isaiah, that's a pretty good score for the first one.
준비. 시작.
And it's sort of been all over on the second score. It's not consistently higher or lower. So I feel like it's just whatever kind of is good for the athlete. Can they make it clean? Can they get the good side kicks to come through and stay grounded?
I can almost think what he's thinking when he's doing it. He's very deliberate as he goes through the steps. That was a highlight of his form right there, for sure, are those two side kicks. That's a highlight. Next things to work on are like connecting the hand techniques so that the back fist and the middle block coming forward is a little bit more, has a little bit more flow with it. And then extending those front stances for sure. That will give him a little bit more grounded appearance. So you got a 6.9 on the first form, and then look, much higher, 7.07. He's really careful on this one. So he finishes with a 6.983.
준비.
This is Yuri Rogachev with Flying V Martial Arts in Illinois, coached by Vincent Biana.
시작.
Wow, nice high reach on the round kicks and the front kicks.
Yeah, really pushing it. He has great flexibility, able to really get those kicks up, slightly over rotating the base leg on the front kick.
Right, so it's hard for him to recover from that. So he just has to make sure he's kicking in range, meaning you got to kick where you can still control it.
Sure.
It's nice to explore it though, when you have that flexibility and see just how far up you can go or how far out you can go. He gets a 7.2, so it's a good gamble.
Yeah, good score.
준비. 시작.
That was a nice quick turn that he managed to really hold on to. And he's pushing out into the stance and locking it pretty well.
Right, he's doing a lot right.
I see it a lot of times in this division so far. The hand on the side kick that's not throwing with the arm, the one on your hip, a lot of times doesn't quite reach the hip. It's either on your stomach, it pulls out, happens on choreo as well, or it's kind of teapotting. So just be really aware of the placement of the hand on your hip for the side kicks to where it's just comfortably on the hip, not doing anything extra.
And he gets, look at this, 7.33, really good score.
Yeah, it's a good form.
That's a good form for him. He was able to really put that one together. So he got a 7.267 for his total score. That's a good spot to be. I remember him. This is Grant Vermeulen. Remember when he was in Summer Poomsae? So he's from Oregon and he trains at U.S. World Class Taekwondo in Gresham under Sam Leiter. So I remember those high kicks.
Well, this is his last year as a cadet, and so he says he's really been trying to enjoy all of it as next year he'll age up. So, Grant, this is your last tournament as a cadet. Soon you'll be a junior, and it'll just be a whole new exciting world to explore. Oh, this is so exciting. So outside of Taekwondo, he works with his older sister's business, where she does character events and parties, and he's helped her out as some of the male characters, but he says he only really does it when it's a charity event. Otherwise, he helps to just doing setup and takedown.
So you get a 6.87. Wonder what characters he's showing up as.
Well, he says this weekend she was Elsa with Santa Claus, but I'm not sure if he's ever been a Disney prince. I think he could be an Eric, a Prince Eric.
I'm not sure what
from The Little Mermaid.
I think he needs to look in the mirror and realize how tall he is. Say, look at these fantastic long legs I have, and I'm going to go ahead and extend those stances because I just grew last night 6 more inches. I'm going to take out a little bit more.
Yeah, he is really tall and probably, like you mentioned, just growing really fast, needing to extend some of those techniques. But a good score, a nice higher score, big jump here.
He gapped himself. He got a 6.950.
준비.
This is Ethan Kim from Illinois. He trains at Summit Martial Arts with Master David Kim, and also with his coaches here in California.
Did you say from Illinois?
Yes.
Oh, so flying or getting out here to California somehow to be with his coaches, the Wynn brothers, that's, a lot of commitment, but it does help so much to have your coach there with you in person when you're doing the reporting. So just shows how much the whole family, because I'm sure he went with his parents, to make the trip out there for this Grand Slam, because it is such an important event as a major and the first 16.0 event that we've had so far.
Yeah, that's quite a commitment, and so many of our parents are so supportive. And look at that score, 7.23. parents of kids in this division are willing to, drive across the country, throw the kids in a plane at any time if and when it's appropriate and safe, and, spend countless hours at dojongs watching until they've heard
Yeah.
the instructions over and over 1,000 times where they think they could actually coach, which they can't, but they think they can.
Sometimes they can. Some parents are coaches.
Some are, right, because they're leading the whole thing. And others, they learn some key words and they give those to their kids over and over again until the kid gets driven crazy and they decide to go back to the dojo.
Well, Ethan did a really great job. He, I think, took a lot of attention to click out the back leg in the stances, both on the back stances and the front stances, which gave an overall nice impression.
What about the exact same score? 7.3.
I think when you have such an obvious click on the legs, you have to make sure that your hands really match the timing of the feet. Because if it comes out so strong and it's not perfectly synced, then it's obvious that the hand and feet techniques weren't together. But Ethan did a good job of clicking them at the same time.
This is Edward Murrow from New York. He trains with Team Champions Long Island with his coach, Master Hyunsuk Lee. Ooh, nice reach, but then he kind of had to step to the inside to recover.
Right, especially with those taped lines there on the floor, it's really easy to see that it wasn't quite coming down straight. And a lot of times you don't even think about that because you did the round kick, you're like, oh, that was awesome, it was so high, and you're like, turn, go to the next thing, and you forget to come down in line with a good front stance length distance. A lot of time that gets cut short.
And he gets a 6.6 for the first Poomsae.
Yeah.
Nice flexible back here. He's reaching with a good volume to come around on these blocks.
Yeah, he just needs to be careful that his front knee is not swaying inward and outward as he does that. Because we want to make sure we look real stable. I don't know if you were able to see that last one. We might be.
Yeah, so it's when there's two hand techniques here. He's moving his hips to try and generate the power on the second hand technique, but it's too much kind of wiggles and motion on the knee and the hips. So you want to kind of minimize that so that the hands move, but the base stays really sturdy.
So he got a 6.6 for that first Poomsae and now a 6.77. So a nice little jump. And he finishes with a 6.683. This is Caden Ho, and he trains in Colorado at U.S. Taekwondo Center under Master Hojun Park.
We must have seen his sister as well. I remember the garage and the staffs there on the background on the wall. At the start of that 5 count, Coach Brand, I think the fists are twisted internally, so they're facing each other, right? Not like a Wakanda fist towards your chest, but twisted them more in.
Yeah, exactly. So not the palms facing your chest.
No Wakanda forever in Yukjang. I'm sorry, everyone, but make sure they twist just a little bit more so that the palms are facing each other. That's a great movie. I should watch it again.
That's Caden Ho. Gets a 6.93 on Take a Cute Jump.
Nice high front kicks. feel like some of the techniques maybe not quite finished. So the power just, I don't know, maybe doesn't quite finish with the end of the technique. But overall, pretty clean, nice high front kicks.
Right, I'm interested in seeing this score for sure. He got a 6.93, and I thought it might go up a little bit because he's able to push through a little bit more power on the second form. So he got a 7.1 on this one and a combined score of 7.017. So that's a pretty good spot to be in. Here's the standings. You're going to see several screens come up. So we have 25 more athletes to go up in this field of 61 athletes.
So we see the first 12 here, all a 7 or higher, and we are getting a lot of ties here. There were like 4 7.017s. So I hope the cutoff isn't around there because that's always heartbreaking. But so the top 13 scores so far are a 7 or higher, and we are 36 in. So we'll take a look at what that 31st score is for now, but it's going to really jump up as we get to the last 25 athletes.
Yeah, quite a few ties on the last 2 screens. So something to be watching as the division continues.
Here we are, USA Taekwondo's 2020 Poomsae Online Grand Slam competition. Is a very important competition, a lot of points going on, up for grabs here at this competition. I have Jake Baudo. Jake, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm living the dream. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Living the dream. I love it. Jake, what are you competing in? I know that you've competed before, but what are you competing here at this competition?
I'm competing in individual Poomsae, sir.
Individual black belt Poomsae. That's a toughie, right? Always is. So you've competed in online Poomsae competitions before. I miss a lot of the things from in person, but what are some of the challenges, some of the things maybe you miss from live competitions of doing it online compared to being in a venue somewhere?
Online can be harder in the fact that you can record as many times as you can till you get one you like. But individual, you do it once, you do it your best, and you're placed or you're placed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one and done, right? You either win or you don't, and there's no second chance, third chances, fourth chances, 20 chances, and I think that's a great point that you bring up, because that's something that I think we all miss. I think we miss the adrenaline. I think we miss the excitement. But these online competitions have been great, and we've seen a level of competition raised by the athletes because there has been so many reps of trying to get it perfectly, done perfectly right. So, I'm very impressed. Been very impressed with it so far, and I'm sure you're going to do amazing as well here at our 2020 Grand Slam online version. So, Jake, you're obviously an elite Taekwondo athlete there in New York. When you're not competing in Poomsae for USA Taekwondo, what are some of your other hobbies?
I like playing hockey, going golfing. Yeah.
Playing hockey and going golf. Okay, let's first just jump into this. You're talking ice hockey, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, I cannot skate worth a lick, so that one I can't do, but golfing I can do a little bit. So your longest shot, the farthest you can hit the ball is what?
Probably close to 200 yards.
Yeah, that's 200 yards is impressive. That's very impressive. Have you had a hole-in-one?
I've never had a hole-in-one, no.
Yep, me neither. I need to get on that. I haven't either. And lastly, we were talking off air, and you said you do a lot of cooking in your spare time as well. What's the best thing that you can cook for us, for the membership, the whole membership?
I like cooking pasta sauce and fried rice.
Okay, so pasta sauce and fried rice. All right, but what if I want pasta sauce over fried rice? Is that gonna go well for me?
I mean, you could try it. I probably wouldn't recommend it though.
Well, it doesn't sound so good either. Now I love Italian food. So I'd love to try your pasta sauce sometime. Clearly on pasta. No, it's impressive. I mean, you're an impressive young man. You're very much a big part of our organization. So one, I want to thank you for your time today.
This is Jake Baldo from New York. He trains at YH Park Taekwondo Academy under Master Alex Tercios.
Really reaching up there on those front kicks. Also on the round kick.
Yeah, wow. He has a fairly short torso and these really long legs. That's a nice advantage to have.
That's a nice job.
So again, that's Jake Baldo from New York, YH Taekwondo Academy. He finishes with a 6.93, same score as the athlete before him on that first Poomsae.
So you get to see all three kicks in this combination of two forms. Lots of front kicks in 6, the only form with round kicks in Jung, and then now in 5 we get to the side kick. So it's a nice kind of balance of all of the kicks in these two forms.
Wow, he's doing a really good job. It's nice when they're facing the rear, you see that kick. Wow.
Ooh, man.
Oh, jeez.
Nice reach.
Really.
I think this one should go higher. I thought that was really clean. And I tried to look at the knees and the stances, like you mentioned, ground up. And on those dual hand technique moves in one stance, that knee was pretty solid. It didn't wiggle back and forth. So that was a good job by Jake.
Look at that. It does
Yeah.
bump up quite a bit, 7.23. It's a really good performance. And he finishes with a 7.083. Up next, we have Jason Morkin from Apex Taekwondo Academy in Colorado. And he's coached by Master Cliff Huang.
So Jason, Coach Brand, plays several musical instruments, including the French horn, which is not normal. And he plays both acoustic and electric guitar.
Not normal. I think you mean to say it's a really difficult instrument, right?
Yeah. I mean, not normal. It's I was in the orchestra, so all those, bands, weird instruments. But the French horn is quite difficult to master, so that's really great. And I'm sure all that dexterity must help with the guitar as well.
So he gets a 6.37 for Taeguk Jung. This section right here, oh, okay, that side was a little bit better.
A little bit up and down between stances. Need to just stay grounded as you move through.
Right. Sometimes athletes feel like that's a good rhythm. It just feels good to go up and down like that. And it's kind of satisfying for some. And then you realize, I just need to stay level, and it's a lot less work.
Get up.
That's Jason Morkin at Apex Taekwondo Academy in Colorado. And he gets another 6.3. And finishes with a 6.333. This is Ethan Cohen from New York as well. We have this, one of his teammates just a couple of athletes ago at YH Park Taekwondo Academy, coached by Alex Tercios.
I feel like the athletes from this school have a really nice extension of punches where they turn the body and get a good core rotation on the punch. Hopefully we'll see it here in the next couple of moves.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Definitely. Nice finish.
And right in the center.
So Ethan gets a 6.53.
And Coach Brand, since this is a major event, that becomes really important in the pathways, but there's also, hopefully post-COVID, we're gonna have some camps. Can you tell us a little bit about the different camps?
Well, right now it's hard to go into a ton of detail about them just because, we're not able to talk about the schedule, exactly when we're going to start. However, definitely want to get a spot on the national team roster so that you will be able to have entry into those camps. So good finish for Ethan Cohen. That was I think a little bit stronger than the Taeka Gojang, so let's see how it goes. So we've talked about our Poomsae pathways in the first 2 episodes, right? Miyako talking a little bit about how to become a dominant athlete, and he's at 5.97. Oh, actually a little bit of a drop here. So let's see what he finishes up with, 6.250. So with our new Poomsae pathways, you're trying to establish yourself as a dominant athlete in a division so that when it comes to selecting our U.S. team, you don't even need to go to a team trial. You've already claimed the spot because you've won the major events necessary to become the dominant athlete. But if you even win one of them or a good showing, then you can end up on the national roster, right, Miyako?
Yeah, and that roster then is what they use to invite people to the team trials. So team trials won't be open anymore. You have to be on that national team roster. And this is Anderson Deng, and he has some massive kicks. As we're walking through this, those round kicks and front kicks really shooting up there.
And good power. That last line really showed his power quite well. He has a nice core strength coming through on those last few steps. So he gets a 7.03. So a long time ago with sparring, you used to make the team if you won the national championship. And then they went through, years of different types of processes to have different team trials. And now they're also using sparring pathways in order to select their team via points. And so Poomsae is following suit. It's a long time coming, but it's a really nice development for everyone. So they know exactly where they stand as the years going by. We're not having to think, well, I won this tournament, this tournament, and this tournament, but now we're kind of starting all over with a team trial where everybody gets to go. So this way you kind of have to earn your way into a roster position or into a dominant athlete position. So the athletes that are on the national team roster get to go to camps that will be set up. And I'm guessing it's probably not going to be at the beginning of the year. For those of you listening, I'm guessing it's going to be once we have, the COVID situation a little bit more in control. So Anderson gets a 7.23 and finishes with a 7.133. And then at that time, the athletes get to meet with the national coaches and train with peers just like them in order to strengthen their Poomsae technique. This is Enoch Choi from Connecticut. He trains at World Champion Taekwondo in Fairfield, and he's coached by Master Gun-Soo Kim and Kwanjin Ha.
He has some nice long extension on punches. Kicking not quite in alignment. The round kick went past. Although, again, with the World Championships that just happened this month earlier, some of the rules, slightly changed, looking up at the kicks. And I think one of them was to do the round kicks just past the line. So normally we look for really in alignment round kicks, but for this tournament, maybe they're picking up on some of their coaches kicking just past, and he gets a big score here.
7.37, right, just past the center line. We used to kick right to the center line. Now it's has to be shown as just past the center line.
But what we don't want to see there is a V shape in the body. You don't want your torso and your head to crunch forward as your kick goes forward. So your head stays straight and the kick goes just past.
When we talk about camps, the sparring athletes had some in 2019 and 2020 and at the beginning of 2020, and those went very, very well. So we're hoping that Poomsae athletes will have the same opportunity.
Yeah, there were those talent ID camps, and I don't remember exactly how it was for sparring, but the top, whatever percentage were invited to go to the talent ID camp, and then certain members were identified to go to further training opportunities. And I think the idea is to model Poomsae on sparring, but one of those things is that at major events, I think coaches can identify athletes who are really good, even if they don't win. So do read those pathways documents. There's a lot of interesting info in there coming up for how to get ID'd and how to move on. And a big score there for the second Poomsae.
Right, 7.57. So he ends up with a 7.467. That's a really nice score to have. This is Dong-Hee Kim, and he trains in Georgia with Kim K Taekwondo under Master Songjin Kim. And there are 20 more athletes to go in this division.
So, who just went before this, that 7.467, I think is the highest score we have so far. That's the new number one spot.
Right, I see that 7.433 up there.
Yeah, Juno Kim, who went 13th, held that spot for a long time, but now taking in the second place spot just by a few hundredths of a point. But here's Dong-Hee Kim from this Team K. We've seen a lot of members out of Georgia coming through, doing really strong. And he just finished up Jung, very confident.
Sure.
We're going to be getting into our seeded athletes here. You get 7.17, so really good, strong start. Some of our earlier athletes may not have been seeded, but that's just because maybe they didn't go to the Summer Poomsae event, that 8.0 event, or the NCTA event, which is a 4.0 event. They can catch up here pretty easily because this is a 16.0.
Right, and importantly for the national team in 2021 is that the ranking points helps you, see where you are, how are you doing in the US, but it counts as one major. So it counts the same as winning this tournament if you're ranked number one. So it's, nice to see, nice to track how you're doing, get those points. Consistency really helps pay off for the rankings, going to multiple tournaments and consistently doing well.
And another good score, 7.0. They ends up with a 7.083. And here's our standings again. So in first place now, Enoch Choi with 7.467. Like you said, he just got past Juno Kim, who held that lead for a heck of a long time. It must have been really fun, but he's still right up there, right? So we're just trying to get to the top 31 to move on to the semifinal round.
That's right, and it looks like the top 17 now have a score of 7 or higher. And like we said, just from the past two episodes that we saw Monday, Tuesday, that cutoff was around a 7.1. We still have how many athletes left, Coach Brand?
Wow, look at the top 4 on this screen, all tied at 7.017. So we have 19 more athletes to go.
So 19 more. The cutoff right now, that 31st score is a 6.567. but those last athletes that we have are all seeded the highest because of their ranking points based on the first 2 tournaments that have been sanctioned. So that score right now, again, 6.567 is going to inch up, probably closer to a 7. And we'll see exactly what it is by the end of the round.
Okay, this is Evan Jung from California. Trains with Just Taekwondo under Master Justin Wang. Really showing off that retraction before he steps back.
Ooh.
Nice high round kick.
Yeah, nice round kicks and good job stepping down in alignment before doing the transition into the turn.
Looks
Follow.
good. So kicking techniques looks good. He's trying to be as solid as he can on his stance work and hand technique. So not a lot of extra motion from Evan Jung. And he gets a 7.1.
It's going to be pretty tight there around the 7.1. We have so many of those 7.017 scores.
For sure.
She
We have so many ties as well.
Outside of Taekwondo, Evan likes to solve all types of Rubik's Cubes. And I have to admit, I didn't know there were multiple types of Rubik's Cubes. So, Evan, maybe you can let us know. I guess there could be like 3 or 4 across on how many squares you have in the Rubik's Cube. But maybe there are more kinds. Evan, let us know all about the Rubik's world.
Really trying to reach up high on those side kicks and still maintain his balance and control to the next step.
Yeah, watch on that last move. When you stomp with the right foot, it should be at a 45-degree angle. A lot of times kids will step down straight with their right foot and then the left foot follows behind, but it should be twisted at a 45 degree to the left.
And he gets an even higher score, 7.17. And finishing up with a 7.133.
준비. 시작.
This is Samarth Basanth from Connecticut, trains at World Champion Taekwondo Fairfield, and is coached by Gunsu Kim and Kwangjin Ha. We are getting some nice high front kicks, although the ankle is giving a little bit, so he does want to just be aware of the position. The round kick was nice. That left side was good. Let's take a look at this right leg. Yeah, so the right leg comes up a little bit with a flexion at the ankle instead of at the toes. Just something to focus on just a little bit more. But the round kick, I don't think we've talked about, can either be pointed or you can pull the toes back like you do in a front kick. Either one on the round kicks is acceptable. And Samarth did a really good job pushing the height on all of those kicks, getting a score here of a 6.87 for Yuk Jung.
시작.
Doing a good job of showing the different heights there, philtrum versus shoulder, and then also making sure that they all come to the center line and not out kind of in line with the shoulder. Really pushing the height there. A little bit of a heel pop up on that transition, but that was a huge side kick, geez. So here's another foot, that right foot, not quite at the angle on the stomp. Just something to look out for and then practice at the end of the form. So he got a 6.87 on the first form, and here a 6.9 on the second, for a combined score of 6.883.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Sherman Nelson, your Minister of Information, and this is the Chopping It Up interview session. And I have one of our star athletes, Isaiah Galvez. How are you today, Isaiah?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
All right, so listen, I want you to give us some background information. We want some of the basics, some of those things that let us know a little bit about you. So tell us how old you are, where you're from, dojo you train in, how long you've been doing Taekwondo, what belt, all of that good stuff.
Well, I'm 13 from Austin, Texas. I train both at Team Forge Taekwondo in Fort Worth, Texas, and at HK Taekwondo in Austin, Texas.
Okay. What belt are you?
I am black belt.
All right. Well, what's it like training at two different dojos? What's that like?
Well, it's fun. Usually it's virtual training. Otherwise, we drive up to my other dojo.
All right. So, and I guess in the age of virtual training, it's a lot easier to do that than it was a year or two ago when you have to physically go. All right. So let's talk about the virtual aspect. What's different about training for competition, Poomsae competition virtually than let's say a year ago when you were training for actual physical competition?
Well, I mean, say like right now, Grand Slam, it's easier because you get multiple takes rather than just doing it all in one try and that's what you get. You can perfect more things.
Okay, so you get to look at yourself and determine which representation of you want to put forth.
Yes.
Okay, were you guys doing that before? Were you guys recording yourself doing Poomsae and going back and like scouting, like we used to do? I was a sparring coach, so we used to watch matches, go back, review those matches. Did you guys do that for Poomsae training?
Well, kinda. It's like we perform in front of everyone and then they get to judge us, and then a few hours later we get to go again in our dojo.
Okay. All right. I understand you want to be a biomechanical engineer.
Yeah.
All right. So that is a pretty specific goal. Tell me about how you got to that decision. What makes you want to do that?
Well, in school we took this test and I saw that as a career choice and I wanted to see what it was all about. It kind of got me interested, and now I want to do it for an actual career choice.
Okay. So you like science?
Yes, I do.
I am a science nerd, so I said, we could probably talk and bore everybody else to death, but we would probably have a pretty good conversation with each other. All right, so here's my question for you, science guy. If you could be, I'm going to take you to zoology. If you could be any animal in the world, a real animal, not a mythical animal, what animal would you be and why?
Probably some type of primate, mostly because they're almost as smart as humans and they have a tail to do more stuff than humans, and it's just easier.
So you want to be smart as a human with a prehensile tail so that you can swing from trees?
Yeah. Also a lot easier to climb.
Okay, I guess it would be. All right, Isaiah, I guess I can live with that. Well, listen. I almost knocked my phone stand over. Thanks, man, for taking some time out of your day. We appreciate it. Anything you want to say to the persons who will be watching you compete and watching our Grand Slam event? Anything you want to say to them?
Not really anything other than just keep on pursuing what you want to do, other than just giving up and forgetting about it.
A little perseverance, one of those tenets of Taekwondo. I saw what you did there. All right, man. Well, again, it was nice getting to talk to you. Thank you for joining the better half of the Chopping It Up homeboys. You don't want to be interviewed by the other half. terrible interview. But so you were blessed today to be with me. And I'm blessed to be with you. Thank you, man. I wish you the best of luck in your competition and happy holidays.
You too.
준비. 시작.
And this is Isaiah Galvez from Austin, Texas. Trains at HK Taekwondo and Texas Forge, which is where we see him here for the recordings. And he's coached by Julio Kim and AJ Munoz. Whoa. So it's a really cool fact for Isaiah. He thinks biochemistry is really cool, and he's thinking about a career as a biochemical engineer to help improve health and ways of life for humanity.
What a coincidence. I was thinking about
We need a lot of help to improve humanity. And Isaiah gets a 7.00, so a good score. Right around that 7, it's going to be an interesting cutoff. It's going to be so close for so many of these young athletes.
Yeah, we start off and everything's calm, and then it gets more and more tense as we're going along, trying to see who's going to make the cut. Can't imagine what the parents are thinking right now. They're like probably on the edge of their seats and thinking that all they can do right now is keep track of the score.
Right.
We're anything with you, along with the parents and coaches and all the family members watching. We sure appreciate you guys tuning in tonight for this episode and all the episodes of our 2020 online USATKD Grand Slam.
That right foot again. Now I'm looking at every single one at the end, just making sure a lot of them are straight. But Isaiah, I think, did a really good job of having power come through. He's 13, so not the oldest in the division, but really having that shine and getting a slightly higher score here on the second one.
So he ends up with 7.050. And up next, we have Jacob Varney from Florida. He's with Ong's Taekwondo in Ocala, Florida, coached by Master Anglito Ong.
Oh, look, you can see a Christmas tree there decorated in the background off to the right. Nice to have some holiday decorations. Hopefully everybody's getting excited for the holidays here. It's almost whatever holiday you want to celebrate. There are numerous coming up, and then of course New Year's in just a week or so. We're almost there, Coach Brand. It's almost 2021. We almost made it.
Thank goodness. We have brighter days ahead in 2021 for all of us. That was Jacob Varney out of Florida. Ong's Taekwondo Ocala. And he gets a 6.93.
Outside of Taekwondo, Jacob likes to play soccer and video games. I guess he's down there in Tampa. It might be warm enough to still go play outside. Here up in Maryland, it's like 45 degrees during the day and it's very cold, but so far no snow. How you doing out there in California, Coach Brand?
Oh, it's freezing out here. It's sunny and probably like it's cold as 65 degrees sometimes during the day.
Pull out the Uggs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm wearing right now. For us, this is some cold weather. Usually Sacramento, we can get up to, the hundreds pretty easily. So it's a little chilly for us out here right now, but we make do since it's sunny still every day and the skies are blue. 6.93, not a fire around at least right now. So just keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We get two identical scores, almost 6.933 to finish up. I'm going to take a good guess and say that this is Jarton Knutson Hope from HK Taekwondo and Team Forge, just because he has a K in the front of his name.
Actually, Coach Brand, I can tell you because he told us how to say his name in the survey. So he goes by Kiki, but his first name is pronounced Kjartan. Kjartan.
Remember that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But he goes by Kiki.
He goes by Kiki, and I go by Coco. So we're obviously best friends.
Coco. Miyako Coco. Yeah. Lots of K's. He's got some nice high kicking technique running through this Yu Jung. Good job. Little swaying of the hips every now and then that he needs to tame a bit, but good Poomsae overall.
Yeah, it's hard. I think he has really long limbs, and so sometimes the traveling of the arms is just having his body wiggle a little bit extra at the end. But if he can get that to stop, it'll look really nice.
You got a 7.03 on that first one.
Like a little more stop at the end of some of these stances, especially going out to the sides where we can see the torso moving just a little bit at the end. That one was pretty good. Good stop. And a good 45 degree on that right foot on the stump. So a good job to Kjartan Nunson-Ho from Texas.
Okay, let's see how he does. He got a 7.03 on the first one and even higher on the second one. So that may put him in a pretty good position here as he finishes up with a 7.083. This is Jaden Lee from Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia.
Yeah, I think so far I'm trying to track it. You know, we have all these pages and pages of notes of the scores and all the athletes, but I think 20 athletes so far have a 7 or higher out of 47. Again, we're looking for the top 31. So with 12 or so athletes left to go. Is that right on my math?
So 14.
14 more. Yeah, it'll be about a 7. It'll be close if all of these last athletes clear a 7, but there's no guarantee. Although Jaden Lee here from Georgia, that Team K, really strong. Nice job with that first form.
Oh, so right at that 7 that we were just talking about.
So on those two techniques coming forward, a lot of athletes haven't done this yet. After the first one, he reached far back and opened the shoulders up. So you could see it right there. It just shows a little bit extra volume of motion that, you know, you have to travel further on the block, and he makes it look very easy. You saw how far back he reached all the way towards the camera before whipping it all the way around.
Right, he's really trying to use that strong core to push through those hand techniques. He just has to make sure he sees where they end up. A couple of them a little off target. So really good intent, and just need to make sure the execution is right where you want it to be. But he gets a nice 7.03. So he'll finish with a 7.017. Oh, here we go. Look at the standings right here for us. So we have Enoch Choi still in first place, followed by Julio Kim and Ryan Sitram. And then we'll see on these screens quite a few ties as we're running through.
Yeah, so I'm looking at how many athletes have a 7 or higher. So right now it's at 21. Jaden Lee, who just went in 16th there, all of those 7.017s.
We have 5 of those. So that's quite a bit. And then a couple at 6.950.
And again, now on this screen, that 31 spot cutoff is again right now a 6.683. With about 13 left to go.
Right. It's going to be tight. We have so many ties in here. 3 on the last screen alone, I think.
Yeah, so if the last 13 athletes all get above a 7, that would make it 34 athletes at a 7 or higher, and that cutoff is 31. So I think it's going to be, you know, a 700, 70 something. It's going to be a cutoff right around that area, depending on what the scores are at the last
Higher
ones.
than Summer of Poomsae, right? Weren't we at somewhere like a 6.7 or 6.8 for this division?
Yeah, I think that the quality of the athletes has really gone up. You know, I think that they probably watched the Summer of Poomsae, watched their division, and then went home and trained for 4 months. And now we're back here, and it looks like a lot of them have leveled up.
It sure does. So this is Sean Park, right? The teammate of the last athlete at Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia, also coached by Sungjin Kim.
Paro.
Need to be careful of that last punch, especially because you hold it for a couple seconds
Sure.
before the paro. That you hit the center line, but then you relax and it can drift off to the side towards the shoulder. Just be aware of that. But a big high score here, 7.27.
So.
Big power.
Yeah, he's really trying to push it. I wonder if he's close to moving up to junior.
I'm not sure how old he is, but he does look fairly tall. I could definitely see him moving into the junior division soon. I see a lot of athletes doing this too, Coach Brand. What's the rule on after that side kick? When should you open your hand? Is it right after the side kick or just right before the elbow smash?
So.
Right before the elbow strike, right? It's kind of like in choreo when you throw that. Well, hang on just a sec. Looking for the score here. 7.17. There's quite a few techniques like that, like in jite, in Hansu, where you have that hand, and the question is, when do you open it? Or like in Chojung, right?
In Chojung, yeah.
In Chojung with the back fist, like you don't all of a sudden open it right away. You wait till that foot gets up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you need to, at the moment that you need to is when you open it. I know what you're saying. They kind of they have that hand extended in Ojung, and then right away they open it, and it descends and it's already open. It looks kind of
exactly. Yeah. So when you're watching the side kick bar in Ojung for these last few athletes, you don't want to see an open hand after the side kick. You basically want to keep that fist in the air up until the moment you're smashing your elbow in it.
Yes, this is Bryce Ruff from Minnesota. He's with the Kukiwon Taekwondo Academy, and his coach is Jung Kim.
So again, here are those mats, but he did a really good job sinking into some of those transitions, holding out a nice long stance, and then some really nice high kicks as well.
Big score, 7.37.
And our top score again right now is a 7.467 by Enoch Choi, who went 41st, but is holding on to that for the 10 or so athletes after him. He's really pushing those front kicks up.
Really trying to get a lot of core in there. It also is causing a little bit of a wave in his lower body, so he has to be careful of that.
So he did a good job of keeping that fist as a fist after the side kick. but there was a little bit of an extra pull before the smash. There's so many little tiny things to work through, especially because he'll keep doing this form for a few more years as a junior, I think. So get to work through some of those.
He's got a good start with a 7.27. He's going to finish up with a 7.317. This is Ryan Yoon
준비.
from California. He trains with Team Kim Poyan.
시작.
And I think we're down to our last 10 or so athletes for this division. So the athletes who are here in the top 10, top 8, you know, they've competed in 1 or 2 tournaments and have scored pretty highly to get their ranking points to be here. So we expect some high scores, but things can always go any direction depending on what forms they pull in this round. So we'll see here. But Ryan Yoon opening up, you know, he's not the tallest athlete, but really trying to get some good reach on his kicks.
Right, he's really trying to dip down low in order to do that. That's a little bit of a gamble. He might lose his balance, but he was giving it a shot. He got to 7.07. He's really trying to push the core power and really trying to push the kicks up as high as he can possibly do.
시작.
Nice center line there. Interesting tempo. So he really tried to connect those two, but didn't quite finish the back stance on the single knife hand block. But yeah, he's really pushing the height on those side kicks.
Right, so he dips way down there.
I think you do, yeah, we want to reduce that dip. The torso should not dip below parallel to the ground. So from straight up, you only get 90 degrees of dip. And we've seen many athletes here, they're not kicking vertically and they get really good scores. So it's more of the control of the side kick rather than just the height you're getting.
So he gets a 7.03 for his second Poomsae, and that follows a 7.07. So he's going to finish with a 7.05. This is Young Suk Ethan Gunn, and he's from Apex Tigers Martial Arts in New Jersey, and he's coached by Master Giduk Gunn.
So this is Ethan Gunn. He is 12 this year, just entering the division, and it must be fun. His brother, who is 14, Eric Gunn, will be going later, and they get to compete against each other in the same division before Eric ages up next year into the junior division.
바로 시작.
But Ethan here in the top 10, doing a good job in his first year here as a cadet.
And he gets 7.0. We'll see his brother a little bit later. He's in the number 2 seed spot in this event.
So, you know, I'm surprised actually these scores aren't jumping up too much into the mid 7s or higher. We do have a couple handfuls left, but so far Enoch Choi with that 7.467 holding on to the number 1 spot.
Right, I think it's coming. We have 10 more competitors. So, or I think it's 10 including Ethan here. So I think there's still some space to get some pretty high scores.
Good reach on the side kick, but didn't quite hold it. So from the extension, it stayed locked and dropped a few inches. So you do want to work on building up the muscles and hamstring the glutes so that you can squeeze and hold that side kick in place and then retract it without it dropping at all.
So he's going to finish with a 7.1.
Nice, a little bit higher.
and finishes up with a 7.050, same score as the last competitor, Ryan Jung. This is Alfredo Lopez Salas from HK Taekwondo and Team Forge.
시작.
He's got a nice high reach on that round kick. And strong finish for Alfredo, working his way through Taeguk 6.
Yeah, we have another musician here, Coach Brand. He plays the piano as well as the violin.
And he's playing with a pretty good score here, 7.37. So far, pretty safe to maybe get a semifinal spot. We'll have to see with this Poomsae. Like you said before, nothing's guaranteed. We're not really sure what's going to happen. But got for himself a pretty good score after the first one.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at those rankings again when they come up to see. There's a lot of scores in the 7.1 range. There's a ton in there, but there haven't been too many above a 7.3-ish. So with that 7.37, he's looking pretty good. But we have to get another good score here, and he is looking good. Really nice extension on the side kicks, and then on the back leg on the front stance, we are getting a nice extension and a good 45 degree there on that stomp at the end. That's such a small thing. I don't know why I'm so interested in it right now, but I keep looking for that angle on the stomp.
So he got a 7.37, and then look, another 7.37. What are the odds?
Yeah, that does put him in a good position, though. Like I said, there's not a ton of scores in that range.
Top 5, right? 7.367. So this is Eric Chua from California. He trains out of Black Tiger Taekwondo with Huang Bay.
Wow, nice front kicks. Very little torso movement as his leg comes up really high. Jeez, nice reach.
Yeah, very nice.
Woo, he pushed that one.
Sure did. Trying to get that foot up to the ceiling.
So Eric is 14. This is his last year in this cadet division. He'll be moving up to junior, and I think he'll do well. He's pretty tall, long legs, good extension. I think upping the power just a tad will help him when he gets into that junior division. But here for the cadets, a 7.63.
That's what I was hinting at a little earlier, thinking like I really knew something, but of course I don't. I just watch everybody else, but I'm expecting some high scores coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a big jump too. The highest score we had before this was like a 7.3-ish. So that's a major difference, 0.3 higher. Outside of Taekwondo, Eric likes to play video games and basketball, and we have another Rubik's Cube fan in Eric Chua. I remember that from the summer of Poomsae. There were so many of our athletes who love to play Rubik's Cubes and can do it in a certain number of seconds. But look at this score! Oh, even higher.
7.667.
Okay, new high score. Oh, here we go.
Eric Chua now in the lead, followed by Inik Choi, Juno Kim, and here are the rest of the preliminary standings. We'll see several screens.
Wow, so yeah, lots of ties here. Make sure you're looking carefully. Take a look at those presentation scores. I don't remember enough the tiebreaker. If it's still a tie here, like we have 19, 19, 19, it's all a 4 on the presentation, then Coach Brand, do they add back in the highs and lows?
Yeah.
Is that what comes next?
Yeah, we sure do.
Okay, so right now that cutoff 31 is a 6.933 with 3 athletes above it, not yet in a 7. And we do still have a handful, about 6, 7 so athletes still to go. So again, right now, 6.933 is the cutoff, but we still have more athletes. It is going to be right around that 7, 7.05, maybe 7.0. We have like 5, 7.017. So unfortunately, it's going to be right in that mix, I think. So it really comes down to presentation when there is a tie, and so having something special stand out about you really does help with those tiebreakers.
And this is Dylan Kim from California. He trains with Taekwon kids with his master Chin Son.
Jeez, he's almost kicking himself in the face there with those front kicks.
As I mentioned, he trains with his master Chin Sonu, as well as An Hui and Long Wen. Wow, look at that. Beautiful front kick. The right front kick, really nice.
Little bit of sway side to side there on that last bar as he was going backwards in those stances, but overall, very solid, really high caliber kicks and some good power coming through as well.
Nice score, 7.33.
Chop.
Yeah, nice and stable as he moves through. You don't see his knees buckling inward and, looking as though he's losing balance on the stance. Very solid.
Yeah, and accuracy is also very clean. Hands at the right position, right line. No extra pre-steps. And nice twist out at the end. So I think accuracy here is going to be pretty high.
Cadet.
And 7.4. So he is going to be safe here. With the 7.367. So what was the cutoff? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a 6.933. But we have 7 athletes here who are still going. So that is going to bump up into the 7s.
Okay, this is Anthony Doe from California. He trains here in Sacramento Taekwondo Club.
So is this one of your students, Coach Brand?
Yes, it is.
And this is your new training space?
Well, yes, this is part of our new training space right here. Yeah, we had to leave our old space and able to get a new space just 1 week before everything closed down. So now we're again on Zoom, so we're in no space. But
but this looks like a nice open space, lots of room. And Anthony looks really strong. He came in here 6th place ranking points. So he's been strong at the first 2 tournaments.
Right. Oh, a nice score, 7.43 to start off with. Let's see if he can continue that. Like I mentioned, just because the first one is high, fairly high score in terms of getting to the preliminary round, we don't know what's going to happen with the second.
Nice high front kicks. Good reach, although he did open his hand up a little bit early before the elbow smash.
Yeah, let's see how this works out for him. So he got a 7.43 for the first Poomsae, Jung, and now his score for Ojang is 7.53, so a little bit higher.
Big score.
So he, like our last few athletes here, appears to be safe. 7.483 is his final score. And up next, we have Mikel Cho from California. He trains with the Eagles. I don't think we have had any Eagles athletes yet, right, in the division?
No, I think, yeah, I don't know that we have.
He's in the number 5 spot as far as his seed. And of course, he's coached by Master Jung Jin. I'm reading it here. It's misspelled, so I got it backwards on me.
And the Eagles competitors always have really impressive kicks, but the round kicks, what I appreciated was the body staying in line, not caving forward at all. Good torso control as well.
Nice and steady on that last line and throughout the majority of the Poomsae. So really solid groundwork from Mikel Cho. He gets a 7.53, which was the score that Anthony before him got on the second Poomsae. So maybe we're just going to be going higher and higher.
Yeah, here we go. I was talking about mid-sevens, and we're getting there now. Here's another sushi lover too, Coach Brand. He likes playing video games, loves eating sushi, likes to sleep, and he says he often cooks food.
I think just about everybody would say they love sushi, right?
Oh, well, I don't like fish, especially raw fish, so I don't like sushi. But I also don't live in like California, so there's no fresh fish. Ooh, look at that side kick.
Yeah, really nice. Really try to push up on that one.
He also has really low stances. I appreciate how much he's trying to stay low and grounded in the transitions, which is difficult because I see him like battling it with that base leg, especially as he's moving through, and then it locks out nice and strong at the end.
Yeah, it makes a big difference when the lower body is looking that strong. He gets 7.67, so really nice work by Mikel Cho. So he finishes, his score is 7.6. And up next is teammate in the number 4 seed spot from the Eagles, Elliot Kim.
Well, Elliot did not submit any fun facts. He only submitted all of his amazing accomplishments in Taekwondo, which include being on the 2020 national team for cadet team. He was on the team in 2019, also for cadet team, and went to the World Cup in Wuxi, China, where he and his teammates won a bronze medal. Here we have a relaxed style, right? So there is a little power coming through, but it's not aggressive. Soft draws and then nice clean clicks and finish at the end.
Right, he's pretty careful. Looks like he's trying to be precise. He's not using a ton of aggressive power out there. He's just doing what's natural. That's working for him. The 7.57.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of how you don't need to use power all the way through your motion. It's not like you start with 100 all the way through. It's soft, and then the power accelerates through to the end, like you're throwing a baseball. Soft and then extended out at the last second.
That's a really good analogy, and that's usually how I teach middle blocks like that. showing how the body kind of goes back to a certain degree, but if it goes back way too far, it feels very awkward. If it doesn't go back enough, it feels awkward. So you got to do it just like you're throwing a ball. Hopefully athletes have thrown a ball before.
Nice for rotation, yeah.
Really good. So let's see how Elliot Kim does with Taega Kojang. He got a 7.57. And as we talked about, using more of a smooth power than a super aggressive technique. So he did even better. 7.67, which ties him up with Mikhail. Got the same score on that second Poomsae. But in general, just a little bit higher. So he finishes up with a 7.617. Up next is Cooper Canoe from Kansas, but training here in Sacramento. So as we talked about before, a lot of athletes being able to use this time to train with their coaches via any number of platforms.
Right, I remember maybe it was NCTA's tournament. He competed in his house, I think, because I remember more of a living room, but he had a garage and a nice setup with all the mats wall to wall. So thanks to the parents to really giving this space for the training.
Right, so many parents have remodeled or changed their entire home. I saw one yesterday that they had taken out their entire living room furniture.
Right.
All with mat. I said, how long has it been like that? And they said, almost a year.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Wow.
7.6 for his first Poomsae. So nice score. Looking back, we haven't seen a score like that since Eric Chua, I think.
Yeah,
right?
and Eric Chua's in first place right now.
Right.
So Cooper doing a good job here. He's also one of the taller athletes in the division, long limbs, which helps. I feel like on camera, it just helps take up the screen.
Right. Perspective, right? He looks really big. That garage is probably a pretty good size, but he looks like he's, commanding the space.
Right. There's no fun facts about your cats this time, Cooper. I am very sad. I want pictures submitted of fluffy cats with the surveys next time.
So let's see how he does. Cooper got a 7.6 for the first Poomsae and then 7.57. So he's going to finish with a 7.583, just underneath the last two athletes from Eagles. So this is Eric Gunn, Sungyu Gunn from New Jersey. He's at Apex Tigers Martial Arts and coached by his father, Master Gita Gunn.
Right, so he's 14. We saw his brother earlier, 12. Nice to see them here. And he's been doing really well over the past couple of years in this division. Gold medalist 2018, 2019, 2020. National team, I think, for all of those years. So nice to see him here. And he just looks so comfortable here.
2018, I think Sean So, world championship silver medalist.
I'm sorry, yeah, that was at the U.S. Open.
But Eric definitely having a great recent run of tournaments. And many of these athletes trying their game at many tournaments, many international tournaments, which is a little easier now by being online. This gets a huge 7.8. So I think our high score for the tournament was like 7.9, right? That first day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Taking his time here, so there's not a huge connection between those two moves in speed, but he does open up the chest and then show a nice connection, but it's a little bit slower than some of the other athletes try and push the tempo, but it's still connected. I think it's a good example of connection a little bit slower. Really nice reach and control on those side kicks.
Let's see how that pace goes for him. Like you mentioned, he doesn't go super quick. He tries to take his time, make sure that he has everything exactly where he wants it to be. And he gets a higher score of 7.83.
That's a new high score by a bit.
And finishes up with a 7.817. So here's the standing so far with just one athlete to go. Here are the first 60 athletes here. So easy to see now where the cutoff is after all that concern, question, worry, pacing, all of that, for the most part, is now changed a bit, I'm sure. Everybody's now just relaxing in their jammies and saying, okay, let's see how this finishes up. Except for, of course, those guys that were at the top of the standings wondered how close to the top they're going to finish.
Right, and we'll see on the next screen that 31st spot. Again, remember, this isn't the final scores. There's one last athlete to go. But, oh geez, and look, there's a tie. It's right in between those 7.017s. So it's going to be somewhere around the Brandon, Jaden, Mattias, Caden, right around there. All you guys with the 7.017. That's where the cutoff is going to be.
It's going to be a brutal cut.
That's always so hard when it's based on a tie. And again, just so that we remember, when there is a tie, you look at the presentation, and if there's a tie there as well, since we have the 5 judges, they add back in those scores that were dropped, and then they look at the highest score there. All right, and then we have just our last competitor ranked first coming into this Grand Slam. And let's see if he can hold on to that number 1 spot.
And our final competitor is Sean So from Eagles in California, coached by Master Jung.
시작.
So you were saying, Coach Brand, that Sean was on the 2018 national team?
Yeah, he earned a silver medal at the last World Championships in 2018. So
that means this will be his last year in this cadet division, and then next year he'll be in the juniors.
right. I think a lot of these athletes will be moving up, leaving space for the next guys. All those guys that are in the youth division, just knocking on the door right now.
Right.
So that was Sean So from California, gets a 7.67. So Eric has a bit of a gap here. He received a 7.8.
Right, so he'd have to get a massive score here, like an 8.0, to try and average out close to Eric, who went just before him. But it doesn't really matter because this is just the prelims. He's definitely going to clear through to the semis. All that it comes down to now is what order will they go in the semis.
Right, you say it doesn't matter, but it matters. It does. Watching nice side kicks.
Good retraction, took his time, controlled, and then landed everything at the last same time. Good control here.
So Sean So with the score of 7.67 for Taega Kyuchang. Just had a very impressive Taega Ojang. And he gets a 7.77. Was able to boost it up a little bit, but not enough to take that top slot. Of course, he'll move on to the semifinal round. We'll see the standings here, where that 7.717 comes up, puts him into second place. So here's our top group here. All these guys making it to the semifinal round.
Yeah, and the scores really did shoot up there at the end. With only the top 6 at a 7.5 or higher. And then here we go into the top 24. Again, so many ties here at this tournament.
All right, so let's see what that ultimate cutoff was. 7 point what?
So 7.017, but again, because there were so many, it's going to be Brandon Jung as the cutoff there. Wait, is that right? I can't do the numbers. There's so many ties. There's 26, 29, 30, 31. Yeah, I think it is Brandon Jung. And here's the rest of that division. Everybody did a really great job. I think this is a really talented division. Again, it's just 3 years and then they move up to the juniors. So there's a lot of work and knowledge that they can gain here in this cadet division before aging up.
Yeah, these guys look great. I can't wait to see them in the semifinal round.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're taking those top 31 scores. We're going to see you again later this week in the semis. Man, Coach Brand, what an episode. So that cadet male division was just so good. And what did you think?
Super exciting. All those ties. I mean, that was just nuts. Like tie after tie after tie because we had such a big field, right?
Right. So that's not that unusual when you do have so many athletes. But huge congratulations to those that are moving on to the semis. We're going to see you in an upcoming episode. But tomorrow, Thursday, we're continuing all the action with the junior male division.
And we can't wait to see you then. So have a great night, everybody. Rest up because we have more action coming up. Bye-bye.